Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. The SPY is sitting right at $390.17. Why is that super important? That's a great freaking question. Let's go to the map. All right, so we go to Discord. We're looking at dark levels for the SPY. I'm showing you $389.99, which is basically 390. Huge dark pool level. When I look at the dark pool transactions yesterday, there was 1.5 billion probably offloaded right here at the 392.67 level, towards the bottom of the chart. So where can we drop to today? All right, bear case scenario. We spike up on market open to 392. Then we drop to the 390 level, which holds for a little while until it doesn't hold any longer. When you look down at the next level, 387.31, you're only seeing 9 billion of dark pool. So then you got to drop down to the next level, which is 384.63. So again, here's your bear case scenario. Bear case scenario is we start up, we go to 392, 392 and change, maybe even 393. Market looks bullish. They're buying the dip. All of a sudden, 9:50 a.m. comes and we drop back to the 390 level. And based on volume, it might not take that long to drop down to that level. I've mentioned volume on the SPY that we're looking for by 10 a.m. You're looking for 10, 11, 12 million would be very light volume. You see 18 million and up, that's stronger volume. It tells you that the direction and big money is going to be there. All right, with that said, we're still sitting at the 390 level. So that's your bull case. Bear case scenarios, we spike to 393, then we drop, and we're going to drop. If we drop below 390, then you're looking at 387. If we drop below 387, which is a small dark pool level, then we're going to see 385 flat today. So yeah, that was one of my predictions a couple days ago when we dropped down to 392. I said, hey, zoom out. The worst isn't over. Yes, we could have a dead cat bounce. We saw that yesterday. However, what happened overnight? Okay, great question. Let me tell you what happened overnight, and I'll talk slowly so everybody can figure it out. Okay, Deutsche Bank down 12%. Deutsche Bank, what was it? Oh, fuck, that's not even the one I wanted to see. Okay, basically credit defaults for certain banks. Deutsche Bank being one of them. There are two other banks. Societe Generale, French Bank, and UniCredit are on the rise. Now, when default swaps go up, it means the banks are somewhat in crisis. People are fearful of these three banks. These three banks control European banking. European banking goes down. Banks lead the markets lower. Europe went down. Our banking system, you think it's like all secured up? Let me tell you some information. Okay. Where is it? That's Deutsche Bank, Deutsche Bank, Deutsche Bank. Here's the issue. No, that's dark pool level. Again, dark pool levels. All right, yeah. The Fed loans FDIC bridge banks another 179 billion, up from the 142 billion. Fed banks loan rising 5 times what it was a week ago. Understand, let's look at the Fed's balance sheet, okay? The Fed's balance sheet, which they're going to do quantitative tightening, QT, or QE, quantitative easing, meaning they're going to reduce their balance sheet. Well, shit, in the last 2 weeks, the Fed has added to their balance sheet 400 billion. Okay, so we're talking about their balance sheet was at like 9.3 trillion. They took it down to like 8.3 trillion. They're doing a great job. They want to make it down and get it down to between 3 and 4 trillion. Well, the best way to get things down is to sell off your balance sheet, not to increase your balance sheet, which the Fed did in the past 2 weeks, going up 400 billion. Okay, so that's definitely having an effect on the market. Then we can go to the dark pool levels. Dark pool levels on the SPY. We saw very little action: 398, 397, 40 million, 40 million, 396, 87 million. 392.24, 1.6 billion. Okay, so that's telling me 392.24 is a key number for me today. Okay, I'm going to mention the key numbers because you'll know market direction if you follow these key numbers and key inflection points. Okay, so 392.24. Key inflection point. We drop below that where we're sitting right now pre-market, then you're looking at 390 flat. Okay, understand that is a dark pool level, which I just mentioned. Under that, you're looking at 387 and change, which is a smaller dark pool level, meaning we could easily break below that. I'm giving you the bear case scenario. Bear case scenario, we're going to see 385 today. Your bull case scenario is we see some shit that's similar to yesterday. Understand, yesterday, what did we do? We spiked all the way up to 399 before retracing and coming back down. So that could be your likely scenario as well, but that'd be more of a bull case scenario. They're buying up the dips. Again, I thought that was possible yesterday, and yet I missed the run because I didn't want to be bullish in anything. Now let's bring up the SPY. Can I do that? Where are we here? Oh yeah, there, it's up there. Okay, so it's up on the screen. So SPY is up on the screen. We're seeing pre-market 389.89 right now. Again, 390 is the main level. I might have to go to the 4-hour chart to actually take a quick look at this. Okay, so here we are, 4-hour chart. So we can see back on, what was it, March 13th, we found support right at the 385 level. So again, not really going to surprise me if you go down to that level. If we look at volume for the past couple of days, and again, 385, we saw strong support. But again, our banks were the only ones failing then. Now we have European banks. We have worry about recession. We have the oil reserves, which the U.S. should restock at these levels. Understand, where's oil today? Let's get to it. Oil is 67.52. We were saying that we were going to restock anywhere under 72. It's at 67. Obviously, if we're not restocking, somebody has told the president that oil can go lower. Oil will go lower if we are headed into recession. So you'll see the SPY. Here we are pre-market. Now we're above 390. So again, that's going to be a key inflection point today for the market, and we'll follow along how that happens. But let's also take a look at the 2-year note. The 2-year note, which has been coming down, again, is coming down more. It's down another 25 basis points to 3.587. Now, why is it coming down? Remember, the Fed just increased interest rates 25 basis points 2 days ago. Why is the 2-year coming down? Because we are likely headed to recession. When recession happens, the interest rates go down, but the banks stop lending money out. So that brings an added factor onto the market. Less lending, businesses are struggling, things of that nature. Let's look at the US dollar. The US dollar, which was at 102.50 yesterday, is now at 103.22 this morning. So you can see, again, the US dollar is spiking. When the US dollar is spiking, it puts downward pressure on our market. Now, one interesting thing that I did see towards the close yesterday, $128 million worth of SPY puts were sold by big banks and institutions. That is generally a bullish sign. So that's the only thing that has me wavering today, saying, you know what, they might buy the dip up. They might push the market back up to 396, 397, something like that. Why? Because these banks, these big money, they sold puts on the SPY to the tune of premiums of $128 million right before close yesterday. So that's worrying me on a bullish sign, because remember, I still am a bear. I'm trading without emotion. I am a little emotional about one thing with this whole TikTok ban, which won't happen. We're not going to ban TikTok, even though China bans all US apps in their country. And that's pretty accurate. We're not going to ban TikTok. Why? Because that would cause Chinese to push back on other companies who could get hurt. Starbucks could get hurt. Tesla could get hurt. Nike could get hurt. Again, we saw Nike earnings. They beat top and bottom line the other day. Why were they down? Because Chinese sales were down 1%. Inventories were up 16%, and their gross margins were down. So again, you really, if we upset China and people are like, well, we're bigger than China. Yeah, we're much bigger than China. However, we sell a lot of product in China and we import a lot of product from China. So that whole tariff war when Donald Trump got started was not good for the economy. And if we ban TikTok, it won't be good for the economy. I think it's a lot harder to do. So I covered the SPY ranges. Let's talk about some certain stocks. Let's just see where we are right here. Okay, the SPY, again, is off 0.75. It's sitting right above the 390 level. Again, that's a key level. We are pre-market, so don't be surprised at market open if they want to push it up to 393, 394. Again, for me, most people would think that's a bull case scenario. Market's going from 390 to 393 to 394. Shit, it's going to go up to 400. No, my bear case scenario is it gets bought up at open, and then it fades throughout the day, and then we end up in the afternoon at like 386, 385, 387. My bull case scenario, if you're a bull, you actually want to see the market dip it open. You want to see it find support at 389, 388, and then skyrocket up. That's your bull case scenario. So your bull case scenario, you actually are looking for the market to dip a little before it rises. Your bear case scenario, you think the market's going to be bought up at open and then just fade the remainder of the day. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, pre-market activity makes up less than 1% of the market activity. So when I see certain things happening, and I'll speak about Snap because I'm in a Snap put position that expires the end of next week. I could definitely see manipulation. There are a couple stocks this morning that I'm seeing manipulation, and lo and behold, it doesn't surprise me that Kathy from ARK is involved with these stocks. The first one being Square. Square came out, Hindenburg came out with a short report on Square, pushed it down. Kathy from ARK bought up. How many shares did she buy up? I think 300 or 400,000 shares of Square yesterday. So yeah, I mean, you could see what do they do when you work at a hedge fund? You push it up pre-market. You make it look so good to everybody else so that us, the retail trader, wants to get involved there. Now I'm seeing the same shit in Snapchat. Snapchat, the market's down 1%. However, Snapchat is holding its own. I look at buys. Anytime it dips, they're pushing it higher. They're rising the bid and ask. I used to do the same thing when I worked at a hedge fund, and this is years ago. We would do the same thing pre-market. We would look at what stocks we want to inflate, and we would make sure we're putting in the exact bids or the exact walls to support those stocks pre-market. Even though the market is dipping pre-market, there are certain stocks. There's Meta, which is being supported pre-market in the 206 range. It should be in the 204 level right now. So again, I happen to think Snap's going to go down over the next week. That's just based on my position. But then you take a look at like Roblox. Let me just find Roblox here because I'm seeing the same shit this morning with Roblox. Roblox should be off. Okay, Roblox is up 2.31%. Okay. Now we spoke about Roblox the other day, and I mentioned my kids are home on spring break and they're using Roblox and putting in Roblox money. But Roblox is up 2.31% pre-market off light volume, 43,000 shares, which isn't anything substantial. However, when you look at the market as a whole, it's probably down 0.82%. So 0.82%. Pretty significant. We're under 390 yet again. So again, that 390 level is going to be key, but you'll see stocks like Snap, Meta, Roblox, artificially, in my mind, being inflated this morning. Does that mean I want to fight the trend? Well, generally in the past, I would say something like, oh shit, Roblox is up 2.5% pre-market. I'll wait for the morning spike. I'll buy some puts. However, I can tell when I fight a manipulated stock. When I'm fighting a manipulated position and somebody is supporting the position and it should be a lot lower or a lot higher than it currently is, I know that I'm in a fight. So when I'm in a position like that, I generally have to go out at least 2 weeks. Now, going out 2 weeks and paying the IV while the stock's going the opposite direction, you can take a stock like Roblox again at $42. It could easily spike to $44 before it comes down, or $46. So the safer plays that I make right now these days, I'm going to stay away from Roblox. If I could have yesterday, I would have secured, actually, I was looking to secure profit on Snap yesterday when my $11.50 options were at $67. I put in the order to sell. They went to 65. I moved it down to 65. The order went down to 61. I said, there's no way I'm selling for 61. This morning, it'll probably be somewhere in the 50-cent range. So 61 still would have made a much better selling point. All right, with that said, what other stocks am I looking at? Again, I was looking at Ford because someone brought that up the other day. As long as Ford continues to see outflow, we can see Ford maybe drop down to like $11.14, which, even though it's off this morning, would still be another 14 cents, which would still be put it down on the day close to 3% rather than 1.3%. So again, if I'm looking trading strategy, Lotto Fridays, I'm a bear. Here's what I'm looking at. And again, this is me. I'm not suggesting any of you follow suit, but here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a spike on market open. When I see it reject one of the levels I'm looking for it to reject, I'm going to look for stocks that have shitty earnings, stocks that have shitty forecasting, and I'm going to bet against them. I almost got involved with some Nike puts yesterday, but again, Nike has such a huge following, so I'm going to stay clear of that. So I'm seeing someone make a question about oil. The other day, if you're on Discord, when the XLE was trading at above $80, I said, wow, $80 is really a teetering point. I think oil and energy should go down. Let me just see where the XLE is now. XLE. Okay, 77.59. And this morning it's off 2.31% pre-market. So it's at 75.80. Do I know if that's a good time to step in? I don't. See, that's my problem with oil. I don't know if it's a buy yet. However, I do know when to sell. So when XLE was at $80, and after I meant that comment about $80 was $80.02, it spiked up to $80.50. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be wrong about this? No, I don't think so. But again, give yourself enough time to be right, because 2.5 days later, you're at $80 and $80.50, and now you're under $76. So that's oil. Again, if we're going into recession, if banks struggle and the banks go down and oil goes down with it because we're struggling in recession and we're fighting or arguing or having words with China, it's not going to be a good thing for the energy sector. However, in the long run, when you go out a couple of months, as long as the world doesn't fall apart, energy is always going to be a serious need. Okay. Hey, Matt, do you think the U.S. airstrike in Syria in response to the contractor being killed will affect the market? I don't want to make light of something like that, but that's a pretty small occurrence. In fact, we've been bombing Syria. Again, the news doesn't report it, but we have multiple airstrikes on Syria and on some other surrounding areas in the past couple of months. I was shocked last time I heard this. I'm like, really? And then I Googled it. And then I saw we had an airstrike here a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's very hush hush. No one really talks about it. Can we talk about the Qs as well? Okay, so the Qs are holding up. You have someone like Jim Cramer saying, "Oh, you're going to fight against the Qs. The Qs are going to rip. It's your own grave. It's your own ceremony. Whatever. Your own death, I guess." Would I fight against the Qs? The Qs are stronger than the Dow, but there are certain Qs. Again, like you're seeing Nvidia being bought up, Apple being bought up, Meta, Google, Amazon, all being bought up. Let's just see where those are this morning, because there are some stocks that are stronger than others. Again, Nvidia, I just can't understand why they continue to buy Nvidia. I know we're talking about the Qs, but I'm looking at the market cap. It's $671 billion. I'm looking at the forward PE of Nvidia, and you're still talking about 60. 60 is a forward PE. Now, I understand if it was like 32, 35, if it was double average of normal S&P stocks, but it is an industry leader. But again, as long as they keep pushing Nvidia higher, and Apple higher, it's going to save the market. Again, Apple was off this morning. Let's just see. Yeah, I mean, they're buying the dip on Apple, but really, let's look at the dark pool on Apple. Let's do that, because that'll give me a better idea. Somebody asked about the Qs, so let's actually share the screen. We'll look at the Apple dark pool levels. We'll see where there's support. Here we go. Discord, boom. We can do the same thing for the Qs as well and see where the dark pool levels, so you know where the support is. So let's add that. Let's shrink me down a little to make it even larger. Let's head back to Discord and let's look at the Qs first, right? TRDP levels, right? QQQ. And the Qs are sitting where pre-market? What, 306 maybe? Let's see. Qs pre-market 308. Okay, 308.57. I don't know why I said 306. Okay, 308.57. So if I'm watching the Qs, let's just make sure this is on the board. It is. I'm watching the Qs. I'm going to look for support. It's 308.58 right now. So I'm going, okay, well, 307.73 has a smaller dark pool level all the way up. Then you're going to 310.73. Well, we closed under 310.73. So I'm not worried about that level, because if we go up, it's a smaller level. So if we go up, I mean, there's no resistance. That's the same thing you're seeing on the SPY, little resistance. So that's why you're seeing the support levels. But if we drop, understand the first line of support would be right under the 305. I know there's a line here at 307.73. I could easily see it break that. Why? Because yesterday's low on the Qs were 307. So if I take yesterday's lows and I say yesterday's lows were supported by this line, but if I think today will be a little worse, then I'm going to look for support right around the 305 area. Does that mean I'm going to jump into calls? No, because you want to zoom out and you want to say to yourself, well, shit, if the Qs are going down. This is a great example, right? We had a member of our platform that over-levered himself yesterday, and he was in SPY puts with his whole account. So he was in 100% with SPY puts. I knew it was dangerous. I didn't want to jinx him at the time and say, hey, dude, you shouldn't over-lever yourself. The SPY dropped. He sold. He secured profit. He was up $1,000 on the week now, and he said, okay, secured profit. And then he went and he said he wanted to buy a call, a starter position in SPY calls. And I'm like, dude, if you weren't so over leveraged in your SPY puts, which you secured profit, so congratulations, even though you over leveraged yourself, you would still be riding that position. If he was only holding one SPY put, his mindset wouldn't change. Like, hey, let me buy SPY calls. He would be like, okay, I'm only in one SPY put. Let me ride it down. I have more time to be correct, because again, the market has bearish sentiment. The fact that he sold out, and I do this a lot, I'm guilty of this. I will sell my puts and I'll be like, oh, I want to jump into calls. And then I'll be right for the time being, and calls will be ripping higher. I'll be like, oh, great thing. Then overnight, what will you see? You'll see the market drop, and then all of a sudden I'll go from green to red. So again, stick with whatever your strategy is. If you're a buy the dip kind of person and you've just been buying the dip and selling the spike, then you're making money. If you're a buy puts on the spike, then you're buying puts on the spike and you're waiting for dip, making money. If you're playing both sides and you see it move by 2 points in the market and then you buy calls and then it drops lower and then you're like, let me buy some more calls and it drops lower, you're going to get yourself in trouble. If you're a flip flopper, meaning I don't care if anybody wants to be bullish and they have their reasons for being bullish. If you're bullish, then you're buying every massive dip and you're selling every massive spike. You're not riding the elevator up and down. If you're bearish, then you're buying puts on every major spike. You're riding it down, which we've seen 4 of the last 5 trading days, and you're getting out, securing profit. When it goes back up, you're doing the same play over and over again. The people that are in trouble, and this might be you, and you should look at your portfolio, is if you're a bear and you're like, okay, I'm going to ride it down. Okay, I think it stopped. I'm going to get into calls now, and then it goes down further, and your first position would have been even more correct, but now you're riding calls and the market's dropping and you're on the other side. That's a very confusing thing to retail traders. So again, whatever you're doing, whatever working for you, if it's buying the dip or selling the spike or buying puts on the spike, then keep playing that same strategy until it doesn't work anymore. You work it until it finds itself being broken. With that said, somebody mentioned, okay, NVIDIA. So we can look at NVIDIA. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing in the market because this is interesting. Let's look at the top flow first. TR top flow. Let's see where the top flow is. Make sure everybody can see this with me, which you guys can't, but I will share it. Let's remove the NVIDIA question because I will look at NVIDIA. But the top flow. So we're looking bearish flow. Okay, what do we see? SPY, Tesla, Meta. Well, Meta's up this morning. NVIDIA's had strong support. So there is got to be some type of bearish divergence on these. If we're going to see if there's any divergence, we'll look at the algo flow for NVIDIA, and we'll see if there's any divergence. Now, what you'd see in divergence is you'd see stock price up here. The algos are telling you the stock price should be here. So that's what you're kind of seeing right now. The stock price is here at 273. The algos are telling you the stock price should be closer to 268. What happens? They usually intersect at some point. So you see they're crossing over. Finally, you have some divergence. Okay, they crossed over again. Now you have some divergence again. Well, guess what? They're likely to cross over at some point during the day. So if they're likely to cross over, either the algorithms are going to skyrocket back up to 271 and NVIDIA will drop a little and you'll see NVIDIA at 271, or NVIDIA is going to come down and the algos will come down as well with it. And you'll see NVIDIA at 268 or something to that extent. So you have to understand the Discord or the platform we use, and we use TradyTicks. What you can see is in this little right-hand corner right here, we use TradyTicks, and we're using their support level. So they do the algorithms. They have all the information. What else can we get from TradyTicks? Well, I'm glad I asked myself, because other than the algo flows, we can look at option sweeps. So we go in and we see how the day ended. Okay, let's look at the option sweeps. Okay, they were buying Apple puts end of day. What time? 2 minutes before the market closed. What was the strike price? 145. When does it expire? In May. So this order is telling you that they put 300,000 into it. They're giving themselves, 6, 7, 8 weeks to be correct, and they think Apple will drop under 145. Same with Square. Large put order, 300,000. Expiration next year, giving themselves enough time to be right. But again, that's bearish Square. Okay, here's a bullish order on Citibank. Bank of America, it's got to be bullish. Yeah. Bank of America has dropped to its all-time low. Again, so they're giving themselves, they're going out till next January, which are leap year calls. Let's look at something more immediate. Here you go. Large put sweeps, okay? REGN, Regeneron, 700 strike, expiration 721. Again, so I'm going to look for something that might have like a March expiration, June. Okay, this is more soon. So here we go. Again, XLF puts 446,000, entered at 3:28 p.m. yesterday, strike price of 30. Now the XLF are the financials. I just told everybody before, financials are leading the market. So what else do we have? Okay, you don't care about option sweeps. Let's look at the golden sweeps where they sweep everything off the board. Well, here we go. Here's Apple. Put golden sweep. They took the 160s. These expire in April. Okay, here's another one in April, probably the same buyer. 2 large put sweeps, again, the 155 level, spent 400,000 here, spent 1.2 million. So they do think Apple's going down. And if Apple's leading the queues, we've got a Microsoft put sweep. Again, remember when Microsoft was $231, $234 a couple weeks ago? It's $275, the same way NVIDIA has gone up. ARK, they've been buying put sweeps on ARK all the time. So again, and it goes both ways. You could see some call sweeps here, and then you get the put sweep with it. So maybe they're selling the call, buying the put. NFA's Energy, I heard a downgrade on here. They're going out to August. So again, what else can you use there? So you can use the tradie flow. Okay, so we'll go down and we'll see the last tradie flow mentioned. So again, I don't really follow anything if the contracts or the order is pretty small. SOX L, they're buying calls. Again, this is NVIDIA, AMD. You're talking about semiconductors. DB. Okay, well, shit. DB is Deutsche Bank, and it went down. This is at 2:40 p.m. So Deutsche Bank is off 10% today. They bought the puts, $9 strike. Deutsche Bank off 10%. So these tools are here to help you. You can go, oh, shit, there's interesting. I never even thought about looking at Deutsche Bank, but I know banks are struggling. Let me copy this trade right here. Okay. And you can see the strike price stock differential 6%. While Deutsche Bank is down 10% this morning. These options will be banking money. You can look at dark pool orders. Now, dark pool orders, they're going to tell you how much of the float is supported. So there was a dark pool order on Carvana at $8.35, $1.25 million worth. The float proportion was only 0.18. So understand, I'm looking for a larger float proportion, something like this, okay? Float proportion, 0.61. If you get above 1 or 2%, that's a large freaking trade. So sometimes I'll just scroll through this looking for any large percentages, which I don't really see yet. Bullseye trades. Bullseye trades usually take effect. Sometimes they take 1 or 2 days to be profitable. So, here it is. Expect pan out within 1 to 2 days. So sometimes I give it 1 or 2 weeks just to be safer. Again, UBS, strike, puts. Guess what? UBS has got to be down this morning. I think UBS was down 8% this morning. So let me just give a quick look at UBS. But again, these are ways to use our Discord. Now, these are the same Discord ranges. UBS is down 3% today, down 6% yesterday. These are the same tools that big money's using. So when I go on there and you guys are asking questions on the side about certain stocks, you go right into the algos and flow room and you start typing it out. And unlike other Discords, $100 a month, $200, hey, we're giving you this alert. Our Discord, I think, is $34.99 a month. So we're giving you the same data that people on Wall Street that are using $250,000 terminals are using. Let me just see if we have any other questions. Yes, funeral. That was the word I was looking for, Josh. Thank you. Any thoughts on Netflix? I know Love was talking about in the high risk room. So we have high risk and high roller rooms. If you have a certain amount of money and you want to be a little more risky, we have thought processes there as well. But Love was mentioning Netflix puts, I think, going into yesterday. Let's see where Netflix went yesterday. I know Netflix popped, what was it, 2 days ago? Or was yesterday Netflix popped. So yeah, I mean, I do know people that are short Netflix, but the same thing with Snap, Meta, Roblox. To me, they're being pumped. Yeah, I mean, I like Netflix puts, to be honest. But again, when you're fighting a trend like this, okay, you're fighting a huge spike, and the spike can last 1, 2, or 3 days. So again, for Netflix puts, I'm going to go show NVIDIA dark pool levels. Okay, let's try and show the NVIDIA dark pool levels. So what would I do? I'd go under Discord. I'm going to go into the flow and algos room. I already know how to use it. Oh, someone just looked up Netflix. See, there you go. You're looking at Netflix, the stock price and the algorithms are telling you, yeah, they're meeting up here. So there's no divergence. So no, it's too early for me to get into Netflix puts. All right. So yeah, RK, they've been selling off. You can see the cost for the premiums. So again, you're using these tools. Now, what did someone ask me? Tell me again, NVIDIA dark pool. Okay. Yeah, I almost lost myself. Sometimes I get confused. All right, NVIDIA dark pool. So what would I do? I'm going to look for NVIDIA, DP levels and NVIDIA. And let's see how big these levels are again. All right, so NVIDIA dark pool levels. Yeah, I mean, it's a wide range. Remember, we were at $230, $235. We saw support at $237, $246, $254. We're still above that. $271.63. So let's look at NVIDIA right now. And again, NVIDIA, it's going to take multiple days. It's not like a light switch where you just turn the key. Here's your chart on NVIDIA. What do you see? 8 out of the last 9 days is up for NVIDIA from 235 all the way to 271. Wouldn't even surprise me if NVIDIA was green this morning, even though the market's getting shit on, because NVIDIA has that support. So NVIDIA is right now at $270.35. If I'm looking, 271.36. So I'm really going to watch NVIDIA as long as it rejects that and we stay under the 271.63 level. What would I do? I would look for NVIDIA to break under 270. If we break under 270 NVIDIA, I would feel comfortable getting into puts. And where could I ride it down to? 263 if we see a major pullback, 254.69. So again, I would definitely give myself a chance to be right. Now, the reason I personally don't play NVIDIA is because puts are crazy, crazy expensive. I'm looking for a volume option play that could potentially make me a lot of money without having me to spend a lot of money. I mentioned Ford yesterday. Ford was at what? Where's Ford? I know I still have it on the top of my list. This is a great example because it would have worked out. Ford, here we go. It was at $11 and like 76 cents yesterday when I was thinking about Ford. Now, Ford doesn't move that much. Usually it moves 14 cents, 12 cents. The options are extremely cheap. Well, yesterday it went from a high of 11.78. Again, I was interested in 11.76 puts, and it closed at 11.42, and it's currently 11.31. So these options yesterday, just the puts on, let's see, the 11.85s. Let's see, the 11.85s. Yeah, they're going to keep going up 11.30. Yeah. So again, you got to find a stock, make it your family. Hit that like button. Yeah, I mean, if you guys watch me every morning, please hit the like button. We don't get enough likes. Everything YouTube does is algorithms. What other questions we have? And you guys are asking questions, which is great. Any thoughts on CVS at a bottom? All right, CVS would be a Dow play. It would be in the healthcare sector. Yeah, I know it's a pharmaceutical company, but it's still going to be in the healthcare sector. It lost 2% yesterday. I'm going to go back to the 1 month chart. Now, what do you see on this chart? Okay. What do you see? Do you see any support yet? No, neither do I. Okay. So I'm going to go to the 5-day chart. I'm going to ask you, hey, man, you see any support on this 5-day chart? Don't pay attention to after hours or pre-market. No, not really. I mean, it has fallen from $76 2 days ago to $72 this morning. That's what, a $4 move. So you're talking about 6%, something like that. Yeah, it could still go lower. I mean, they were buying some at $76. But again, I got to wait for bottoming to happen. And right now, unless I think the market is going to stabilize itself, which I don't, I'm going to stay away from CVS. Again, Microsoft. I would have to look at the dark pool levels for Microsoft. Again, it's a major player. So as the Qs are doing okay, Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, are all going to find support. Tesla, again, there are funds that I mentioned that have to stay bullish in this market. So even though the market's down 1%, a lot of these funds are saying, well, what can we buy? Where is support? Oh, support's in Meta, which is why Meta probably green pre-market. And it really shouldn't be. It should follow the market. Meta, yeah, I mean, it closed at 204. It's at 206.36. So again, Meta has been bullish for a while, ever since, what was it, 188, 174, like maybe a month ago, less than a month ago. So again, I want to be bearish on Meta, but that's the only one of few stocks I see support right now. I like how you run through the market quick. You must be from the Northeast. Yes, I'm originally from New York City. I spent, for all those that didn't know, I was in high school. I was working for a hedge fund, D.E. Shaw, David Shaw. They're still around. They're still a pretty big hedge fund. They get board seats. They're activists. I went from there through college. Then I worked for J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, NatWest, Greenwich Capital. I work for a lot of these institutions. So yeah, you got to be really quick. You got to be ahead of the game. My thinking, the reason I stood out is I think outside the box. Everybody else is very, was into their programs, was into their modeling. Me, I just see patterns. I see charts. I see them develop. I can see volume spikes, volume dips. That's why I follow the volume in the SPY so often. So again, I'll tell you, light volume day in the SPY, 10 a.m. You're seeing volume at 11 million or under in the SPY. It's a light volume day. Light volume D means there could be major moves to the upside, major moves to the downside. Last thing I want to end with, let's look at the GEX on the SPY and see what we're coming up with here. So I'm going to go back to Discord. I'm going to go back to the Flow and Algos room. I'm going to look at the GEX level for the SPY and see where we're at. Again, these are the options that are expiring. See where everybody's pointed, see where they're weighted. Hopefully it comes out. Okay, so here we go. So I'm pulling that up. Hopefully you all can see that with me. I know it's small, but unfortunately that's what StreamYard does. So I'm looking at these levels, and here we go. 405. I'm looking at the puts versus the calls. And again, I'm going to be a bearish person in this market. And I do think we're going to see that 385 level today. It was the same way that I told everybody a couple of days ago that I thought we were going to see 392. Now, we saw 392 on the SPY. It didn't happen like I thought because we bounced up to 402 after Fed came out with their announcements, and then we dropped down to 392. I thought it was going to be vice versa. I thought we were going to drop to 392 earlier. So again, what I'm thinking today, and let's just go over the quick summary one more time. Bull case scenario, market dips at open. We see 389, 388 and change, and we quickly spike up back to 391. If we do that, then we're going to see 394 next level. So 388 to 394. There's your bull case scenario run. Bear case scenario is market gets bought up at open. Yes, that's your bear case scenario. Market gets bought up at open. We see 392, 391.50, whatever the number is where it rejects. Then it tries to do it again. It's trying to break through to the upper side. It rejects. Then what happens? We see a quick drop. Now we're back at the 390 level. Then the 390 struggles as we use the supply from the dark pool levels. When it doesn't hold, then we drop down to the next level lower, 387 and change. Smaller dark pool level. Wouldn't surprise me if we see the 385 number. So again, bear case scenario, 385. Bull case scenario, 395. Trade without emotion. Remember, follow the markets. Look at volume, light volume day. You're going to see big market moves, a lot of volatility. That's what I'm looking for. Appreciate everybody joining me this morning. Please come back.